This is an emergency action notification requested by the White House. All broadcast stations and cable systems will follow activation procedures in the EAS Operating Handbook for a national level emergency. The President of the United States or his representative will shortly deliver a message over the emergency alert system. This is an emergency action notification. All broadcast stations and cable systems shall transmit this emergency action notification message. This station has interrupted its regular programming at the request of the White House to participate in the emergency alert system. During this emergency, most stations will remain on the air providing news and information to the public in assigned areas. This is WNET. We will continue to serve the Newark area. If you are not in this local area, you should tune to stations providing news and information for your local area. You are listening to the emergency alert system serving the Newark area. Do not use your telephone. The telephone lines should be kept open for emergency use. The emergency alert system has been activated to keep you informed. We interrupt our programming at the request of the White House. This is the emergency alert system. All normal programming has been discontinued during this emergency. This is WNET. This station will continue furnishing news, official information and instructions for the Newark area. If you are not in the Newark area, you should tune to stations providing news and information for your area. It is important that you listen carefully to announcements from the station or cable system in your local area. This message has been authorized for release by the United States government. The President is unable to speak at this time. Therefore, a message will be delivered via text-to-speech synthesis. This is an urgent and important message from the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA. This message concerns a threat that will affect the entire globe. On November 27th, it was noticed that the star Claxton, located roughly 25 light years away from Earth, is about to complete its death process. NASA scientists have determined that the star will likely explode into a supernova when it completes this process. What is unusual about this is that it was not noticed beforehand, and NASA scientists have no idea why or how it went undetected until now. When Claxton completes its death process, it will explode into a supernova and create a neutron star. This explosion will release powerful rays of radiation into space, such as gamma rays, along with lower frequency waves like radio waves. This explosion will have a devastating impact on the entire globe. The gamma rays will reach Earth, and while gamma rays can pass through the human body, they can cause severe damage to DNA and tissue. Additionally, these gamma rays will likely severely damage the ozone layer, allowing more harmful UV rays to strike the planet. This will increase the risk of severe burns and a higher chance of skin cancer. At this time, it is not known whether this explosion will cause the complete destruction of the ozone layer. However, all citizens of the United States, including Alaska, Hawaii, and all U.S. territories, must take precautions to prepare for this event. Prepare by packing at least 14 days' worth of non-perishable food and supplies. Build an interior shelter on the lowest floor of your building to protect yourself from the gamma radiation. You should also have alternative means of communication, such as a battery-powered radio, as the rays released from this event will likely interfere with telephone, television, and radio communications. Wear multiple layers of clothing to protect yourself from gamma and UV rays. Do not go outside during this event. The outside world will be extremely dangerous once the supernova occurs, and going outside guarantees the risk of being hit by these rays and suffering severe injuries. At this time, the United States government is working with NASA, the United Nations, and various space agencies from other countries to determine the best course of action to preserve human life. That is all the information available at this time. Please remain tuned to local media for updates on this crisis.
Ever since the national alert earlier today, widespread looting and civil unrest has broken out across the entirety of New York City. Law enforcement has had an extremely difficult time controlling these riots and unrest. Therefore, Mayor Mike Bloomberg has put in a mandated emergency curfew effective immediately. All citizens must get indoors and remain indoors until 10 a.m. tomorrow. Failure to abide by this curfew may result in detainment and prosecution to the fullest extent of the law. Do not attempt to interfere with riots or join them, as the National Guard has been sent to restore the peace. Again, to repeat, a mandated curfew is now in effect starting immediately until 10 a.m. tomorrow. Get indoors now. Remain tuned to local media for updates.
The following message is being broadcasted for a regional activation of the emergency alert system. The message is effective for the Mountain West region of the United States. The United States government has put in an emergency protocol for the United States due to the ongoing situation with the Star-Claxton. This emergency protocol involves the evacuation of low population density areas to government-sanctioned shelters. The National Guards of their respective states have been dispatched to assist residents in evacuations. When you evacuate, bring a form of identification, such as a legal driver's license or passport. Ensure you have food, water, and medical supplies to accommodate yourself and your family. Ensure you also give a notice when evacuating, such as tying a towel or any form of clothing to your door or mailbox, which will notify the National Guard that you have left your location. those who are in large cities or those who do not get a notice from the National Guard other evacuation orders should not attempt to leave their location. Instead, remain where you reside and await further details. Please remain tuned to stations providing news and information for your local area. This has been a regional activation of the emergency alert system.
Stand by. An important message from the United States government will air shortly. Emergency programming has been paused nationwide for a activation of the National Information Center. Please stand by. Please stand by. An important message from the United States government will air shortly. Emergency programming has been paused nationwide for a activation of the National Information Center. Please stand by. Please stand by. An important message from the United States government will air shortly. Emergency program.
The following is an important message from the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, given authorization for release by the United States government. Please remember that this is not a test, and everything stated in this broadcast is official government information. This message concerns the ongoing global crisis being caused by Claxton. In roughly 48 hours, the star Claxton will finish its death cycle and will explode into a supernova. This supernova will release harmful gamma rays that will deplete the ozone layer significantly. These gamma rays will also affect humans as well, as they can cause damage on an DNA level. It is essential that you remain inside during and after this event, as even after this event, going outside without covering your skin will result in burns, and a significantly increased chance of contracting skin cancer. This event will also affect agriculture across the globe. Due to a weakened ozone layer, harmful UV rays will make it extremely difficult, if not impossible, to grow food outdoors. Due to this global emergency, the United States government, along with NASA and the United Nations, have put in an emergency protocol to preserve human and animal life as much as possible. While the full extent of this plan cannot be revealed at this time, a part of this plan includes the evacuation of low population density areas. The reason why these places are under mandatory evacuation orders is to make it easier to deliver aid and to alleviate the work of first responders assisting residents. The United States government is setting up hundreds of shelters across the country for citizens to take refuge. It is also important that you keep in mind that emergency services will likely be overrun during this event, and you may not receive a response. Only dial 9-1-1 if you have a life-threatening emergency. Another factor to keep in mind is that the gamma rays and other wavelengths may interfere with telephone, radio, and TV communications, causing a delay in emergency news and updates, as well as delaying the response of emergency responders. Should this occur, those who are not in a government shelter should ensure they have adequate supplies to support themselves and their families until aid can arrive. During this time, it is important not to panic. Panicking will only worsen the situation for you and those around you. Remain tuned to stations providing news and information for your local area. This has been an activation of the National Emergency Alert System. Emergency programming may now continue.
across the entire state. The National Guard has been dispatched to major cities across the state to maintain the peace. Anyone currently outside has been ordered to get indoors now. To repeat, martial law has been declared. The National Guard has now been given authorization to use aggressive and potentially lethal force on violent rioters who do not abide. In addition to this, a mandatory curfew has been put into place. You must not leave your homes effective at the end of this broadcast until 12 p.m. tomorrow. Those who fail to abide will be detained and prosecuted. To repeat, martial law has now been enacted across the entire state of California. Get inside your homes now. This broadcast will retransmit in 5 minutes.
Martial law has been declared. The following message is transmitted at the request of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, along with various state-level governments. Extremely dangerous looting and violence has broken out across the tri-state area. Law enforcement has proved to have an extremely difficult time controlling the situation. Therefore, the governors of their respective state have enacted martial law across the tri-state area. Effective at the airing of this broadcast, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The states of New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut will be under martial law for an indefinite period. No one will be allowed outside except during designated non-curfew times. Travel inside and outside the state will also be restricted, with most public transportation being shut down during the duration of this martial law. You will not be allowed to exit the state without valid reasoning. Failure to comply with these orders or attempting to get violent with the National Guard may result in you being detained or shot at. Once again, the states of New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut are now under strict martial law. Get indoors now or face dire consequences.
Your attention, please. This is the Alberta Emergency Public Warning System. The following emergency bulletin may affect your area. Listen carefully.
This alert has been issued by the Canadian government. A national emergency concerning the entirety of Canada is ongoing. This message concerns the imminent explosion of the Star Klaxton in the next 24 hours. The Canadian government is urging residents to begin their final preparations for this event. Gather anything else you may need, whether it be food, water, or medical supplies. It is highly recommended to have a first aid kit, as the response of emergency officials will be ceased during this event, and you will not receive a response. You will be on your own for the first few hours, if not days, preceding the event. You should ensure you are able to be self-sufficient if you are not residing within a government shelter. Those who are not self-sufficient, such as the elderly or the disabled, are urged to go to a government-sanctioned shelter. These shelters will have the necessary supplies for you and your family. For those residing in their own homes, you should ensure your shelter has as many barriers between you and the outside world as possible. Gamma rays ejected by this event will be severely damaging to the human body. You should also not go outside under any circumstances without protective layers, and even then, it should be as short as possible.
It is also important to remember that government shelters run on a first-come, first-served basis. Once capacity is reached, you will be denied entry. Authorities are working day and night to escort residents across the country. If you or someone you know need assistance, call the emergency line and inform them of your location. Authorities will assist you. This has been a message from the Canadian government. Emergency programming may now continue.
This emergency warning message has been broadcast for your safety. If your area is affected, take all necessary precautions and listen to any local radio, television, or cable outlet for further updates. Do not use your telephone for the duration of this emergency.
With just a little under 24 hours left until Claxton explodes, citizens should begin making their final preparations for this event. Begin constructing your shelter and ensure you have the supplies necessary to last you at least a week. Before the final hour, a national alert will be read over the emergency alert system to inform.
Due to a national emergency, standard programming on NOAA radio has been discontinued. The NOAA radio network will only serve to air national alert messages, along with the relevant weather watches and warnings. It is advised that you tune to a local TV or radio station providing news and information for your local area for the latest updates on this national emergency. Message was transmitted at the request of the Wyoming Emergency Management Agency. The Emergency Management Agency would like to inform residents that there is a little under 24 hours left until the explosion of Claxton. Most government shelters have reached full capacity and will soon be closing in preparation for tomorrow. If you are going to a government shelter, the time is not to do so. For those living in your home, ensure you have proper supplies to maintain yourself and your family until further messages are given by the government. You should note that, before Claxton explodes, a national alert will be aired over the emergency alert system to tell all residents to get inside and brace for the effects. Remain tuned to local media for updates.
Nationwide has been interrupted for a message from the United States government via the emergency alert system. This is not a test. Again, this is not a test. All citizens receiving this broadcast must pay close attention. As it stands right now, there is 16 hours until Claxton explodes. NASA studies have determined that the explosion will occur at around 10:07 a.m. tomorrow. During the last minutes before the explosion, an emergency alert will be played nationwide to inform residents to get inside and brace for the impacts. All residents in the United States, no matter where they are, and furthermore the entire globe, will feel the results of this event. You should ensure you have alternative means of receiving information, such as a radio, as no television stations will be on air during this event. Updates will be given over radio, however,
it is likely that radio waves will heavily impact radio communications. It is also possible that power outages will occur, so ensure you have blankies to keep yourself warm should heating systems fail. All residents in the United States must be in a shelter, otherwise, you will not survive this event. Your shelter should be in a room with little to no windows, and with as many barriers between you and the outside world as possible. Most government shelters have reached full capacity, and all will close at 12 a.m. in your respective time zone. After midnight, you will be denied entry into these shelters. You should have your radio prepared now, as most, if not all television stations will go off air, and emergency updates will be given via radio. Ensure you are monitoring radio stations that are providing official government updates for your local area. Once the main event ceases, you should still not attempt to go outside. The gamma rays ejected by this event will severely weaken the ozone layer, and will cause you to contract severe burns and a chain of skin cancer without proper protection. We will notify residents on how they will receive aid as soon as it is safe to do so. Most utilities such as water will continue to function, however, we cannot guarantee that power will remain online, as gamma rays may also interfere with the power grid. If applicable, ensure you have a backup generator in the event that power grids go offline. Another thing to keep in mind is that emergency responders will not be able to respond to your calls during the main event. Those who are at high risk must get to a government shelter, otherwise you run the risk of getting into a life-threatening emergency and first responders being unable to assist you. Remember, Claxton will explode at around 10:07 tomorrow. You have until midnight in your respective time zone to go to a government shelter before they close. Before Claxton explodes, our alert will be aired nationwide to inform residents to prepare for the impacts. This has been an activation of the emergency alert system for a National Information Center statement.
Programming has been interrupted at the request of Her Majesty's government. This is not a drill. The Star Claxton is about to explode within the next 15 minutes. All citizens of the United Kingdom must remain indoors. If you do not stay indoors, you will not survive this event. Harmful gamma rays released by these events will certainly kill you. Expect major disruptions to TV and radio communications lasting hours, if not days. Power outages could also occur. Should power outages occur, ensure you have blankets and clothes to keep yourself warm until power can be restored. Do not under any circumstances go outside, even after the main event ends. The withering of the ozone layer will allow more lethal UV rays to hit the planet. Going outside without proper skin protection will result in certain death. The Queen and royal family have been safely escorted to an undisclosed location and are unable to speak at this time. We estimate at least another 20 to 30 minutes before communication failures occur due to radio waves interference. This station will now go off air, and most television stations will switch to radio for updates. Normal programming will not resume. We wish you good luck.
This is an urgent message from the Canadian government. This is not a test. In the next 15 to 20 minutes, the Star Claxton will explode. This explosion will have devastating effect on the world and the human race as a whole. Your life is in extreme danger. All citizens hearing this broadcast must remain indoors at all cost. Failure to adhere to these rules will result in certain death. We must reiterate that this event is not a light thing. The lives of everyone hearing this, and the human race as a whole, are in great danger. Get indoors now. Expect communications failures and power outages. Make sure you have a backup generator set up. If not possible, ensure you take proper precautions to keep yourselves warm in the event of heating failure. This is your final warning. Get indoors now. You have very little time left. This broadcast will now cease. Good luck.
The following message is transmitted at the request of the United States government. This is not a test. I repeat, this is not a test. A global emergency is imminent. In the next 10 minutes, the star klaxon will explode into a supernova. All citizens in the United States, no matter where you may reside, must get into their underground shelters immediately. Those who are above ground or are outside will face certain death from this event. Expect major communication failures to occur within the next 30 minutes preceding this broadcast. You will likely be on your own for the coming days. Attempt to ration your supplies as much as possible in case of extensive delays to a government response. The President has been escorted to a safe and undisclosed location and cannot speak at this time. A statement from the United States government will air as soon as it is possible following this event. Most utilities will continue functioning. However, it cannot be guaranteed that the power grid will continue functioning. However, time is running out. Get into your shelters and brace for the impacts. Your government wishes you good luck. We will persevere through this crisis.
transmitted by Watertown City authorities. Continuous widespread power outages have been recorded across the majority of the continental United States. Extremely cold winter temperatures are occurring across New York State due to a shift in weather being caused by the significant damage done to the ozone layer. These power outages may return to the city of Watertown at any times. Anyone able to hear this broadcast is advised to take the best course of action they can to keep themselves warm. Use blankets and wear multiple layers of clothing. You should not, however, attempt to use your oven or stovetop to keep your house warm. Doing so may result in carbon monoxide poisoning. Ensure you stay away from windows during the daytime, as harmful UV rays are unable to be filtered effectively due to our withered ozone layer. Ensure you wear a mask or face covering, due to the fact that air quality is worsened significantly as another factor caused by our weakened ozone layer. We currently have no idea when government aid will come, or when we will receive an update. Please remain tuned to radio or TV for updates.
winter storm emergency declared for several states. The National Weather Service in Great Falls has issued a winter storm warning for the states of Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, North Dakota, and South Dakota. For the past few days, storm conditions have been occurring across the aforementioned states, with most areas reporting temperatures bordering the negatives. Proper precautions must be taken immediately. Wear multiple layers of clothing and use blankets to keep yourself warm. Power outages have been occurring across a vast majority of the United States, so it is possible that power outages may return to the warned area at any time. Ensure you are prepared should this occur. Do not go outside during daylight hours, as hazardous conditions caused by UV rays will severely injure you. Remain indoors at all times, and take proper precautions to protect your life. Please remain tuned to local media for updates when possible. To repeat, a winter storm emergency has been declared. Take proper precautions to keep yourself warm.
This message has been given authorization for release by the President. This message is to be relayed on all stations nationwide. This is an update from the United States government. It has been around 9 days since the explosion of the star Claxton, and the effects are being felt worldwide. A rough estimate of around 400 million people are already expected to have died from gamma rays alone. In addition to this, our ozone layer has been severely diminished. This has allowed harmful UV rays to not be filtered out. This will cause sunburn, rampant skin cancer, along with other factors. It has been estimated that going outside without protection, even for a minute, will cause severe sunburns and a much higher chance of contracting skin cancer. High UV radiation has essentially made the outside world uninhabitable during daytime. It has also affected plant and animal life, causing most plant species to wither away and causing a collapse of the ecosystem in a matter of days. Winter storms have also broken out across the U.S. mainland, with no prior warning being issued due to technological blackouts. Power across the world has been unstable due to radio wave interference. Most power grids have been failing, including the Western and Eastern Interconnect. This alone has already accounted for thousands of deaths due to people freezing without power. At this rate, it is estimated that upwards of 1.8 billion people could be dead by March due to skin cancer and food shortages. With these factors in mind, it has been very difficult for aid to be delivered to major areas. Most satellites have also been severely damaged. This significantly slows down the process of dispatching news and updates. GPS systems have all experienced complete failures due to satellites being heavily damaged, with some of them going offline completely. This, in conjunction with hazardous winter storm conditions, has made it a borderline suicide operation to attempt to drive or fly aid to areas. It is likely that a steady flow of aid will not reach areas for days or potentially weeks following these winter storms. Everyone hearing this broadcast is strongly advised to ration whatever supplies they have left. Complete crop failure has occurred across the globe, which will soon lead to food shortages. And even though seed banks are being utilized to the maximum, it will take time for food to become a steady resource. As a last resort, you may have to consider skipping a meal for a day, then eating tomorrow. Hospitals are completely overrun with patients reporting skin cancer and severe burns. Most hospitals are severely understaffed at the moment. It is not recommended to call 9-1-1 at the moment unless you have a life-threatening emergency. And even then, you likely will not receive a response due to shortages and telephone outages, even if it is daytime. Most utilities may also go offline due to the fact that there is a lack of maintenance. It is possible that power and other utilities will go offline for periods of time in the future. We apologize for the bleakness and grimness of this message. However, we believe it is only right to be fully honest with our citizens about our circumstances and what will happen in the foreseeable future. Your government is working day and night to find solutions. We thank you for your patience throughout this horrifying situation. The President or his representative will speak over all stations soon. Remain tuned to local media for updates.
following message was transmitted at the request of the Federal Emergency Management Agency. A radiological hazard warning is in effect for the southern United States. The nuclear power plant lot will have its sirens take catastrophic failure. A complete explosion of the plant is imminent. All citizens hearing this message must brace for the impacts. This explosion will spread nuclear materials across the southern United States, and it will likely mix with hazardous winter storm conditions. Do not attempt to evacuate. Remain windows and sealant cracks in your windows or doors. Barricade yourself in the deepest room of your home. Cover your face with a mask or a piece of clothing. Do not attempt to evacuate. Hazardous sun rays will burn your skin, and there is no time to do so. Shelter in place to the best of your ability. This is a life-threatening situation. Please remain tuned to emergency obstacles for future updates on this crisis. This is not a test. This has been a regional activation of the emergency alert system.
This is an update from Her Majesty's government. The effects of Claxton and its aftermath have taken a turn for the worst. It is estimated that around 700 million people worldwide have died due to various factors caused by this event. Around 6 million people in the United Kingdom alone have died, totaling around 10% of the population. Food shortages are being felt worldwide, with the supply of remaining stored food, along with food being grown underground, unable to keep up with the demand of billions. Some utilities in the country have experienced outages, including, but not limited to, water services, heating services, and power services. The outages have caused devastating effects on the country. Riots and chaos have been consistently breaking out during nightfall, with hundreds dying every night due to the sheer anarchy. These riots have made it extremely difficult for aid and support to be delivered to citizens, as rioters attack military aid vehicles and loot the supplies before the aid can reach their designated areas. Hospitals are extremely understaffed, making it difficult for citizens to seek medical attention. With the current state of the country in mind, and to prevent any more casualties, Her Majesty's government has enacted martial law across the entire country. If you attempt to start or participate in riots, you will be shot on sight. Only authorized police and medical officials will be permitted to be outside during night time. Anyone else will be detained and taken into custody. We apologize for the strict measures being put into place. However, we must do whatever it takes to conserve the remaining population. The Queen will release a statement in the coming hours. Thank you for listening to this emergency update.
contaminated water warning in effect for the eastern United States. The following message was transmitted at the request of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, along with various state-level governments. Due to a complete failure of a nuclear power plant in Georgia, an explosion at the plant has occurred. This has caused hazardous radioactive materials to spread across the area. It has also caused tap water to become contaminated. Hundreds of calls have come in reporting citizens contracting radiation sickness and other illnesses. This is likely due to contaminated tap water. All citizens in the eastern New South are ordered to cease all use of tap water immediately. If available, use prepackaged water. Water utilities will be shut down across the eastern states momentarily to prevent contaminated water from spreading to other states. You are strongly advised to use prepackaged water for the time being. To repeat, tap water has become contaminated due to a nuclear power plant explosion hours ago. Cease all use of tap water immediately.
Your attention, please. This is the Alberta Emergency Public Warning System. The following emergency bulletin may affect your area. Listen carefully.
The following message is being broadcasted at the request of the Canadian government. This is not a test. An ongoing radiological hazard is spreading across the entirety of Canada. 3 days ago, a nuclear power plant in the United States experienced a complete meltdown and exploded, which has allowed hazardous radioactive materials to spread across North America, reaching as far as Canada and Mexico. These materials have also mixed with sporadic winter storms caused by our weakened ozone layer, which has caused a mass casualty situation in the United States, and these winter storms combined with radioactive materials have spread as far as Canada. All citizens hearing this message should barricade themselves as much as possible from the outside world. Seal any cracks, close all doors, and turn off heating systems immediately. This is a life-threatening situation and your life is in extreme danger. Ration whatever supplies you may have left, as no aid will be delivered due to the ongoing crisis. In addition to this, once the current emergency ends, martial law will be declared across the entirety of Canada. An estimated 35% of the population have died so far, and that number continues to rise by the hour. Should things continue under these circumstances, a complete collapse of the Canadian government could occur. Therefore, the Canadian government is taking any swift measures possible to keep the country afloat. Have a battery-powered or hand-cranked radio with you at all times to receive updates. Goodbye and good luck.
This emergency warning message has been broadcast for your safety. If your area is affected, take all necessary precautions and listen to any local radio, television, or cable outlet.
following is a national emergency update message from the United States government. The ongoing crisis has only continued to worsen severely. Freezing temperatures continue to sweep across the entirety of the United States. Power outages and food shortages continue to be widespread across the U.S. mainland, with hundreds of thousands expected to be dead due to malnutrition. Radioactive materials are spreading across the entirety of the U.S. mainland and have been mixing with winter storm conditions, spreading them further across the North American continent. Deaths caused by radioactive materials have been reported in all lower 48 states, and reports of deaths have been observed in Canada and Mexico. No aid has been able to be delivered to citizens since the start of this crisis, and it will remain that way for the foreseeable future. An estimate of 30 million are expected to be dead within the United States, and that number will only continue to rise. With these factors in mind, there is very little optimism that can be had for the future of the United States and society in general. All remaining citizens are advised to do the following: seek warmth by any means possible. Do not attempt to use heating units, as they will allow radioactive materials to get into your shelter. Go into the lowest floor of your residence and barricade yourselves from the outside world as much as possible. Ration whatever supplies you may have left, as you will be on your own for the foreseeable future. There is nothing that can be done to alleviate this crisis, and for now, it will only continue to worsen. Remain tuned to any form of local media or government radio for updates.
The federal government in Washington, D.C., has authorized this message. This message was brought to you in conjunction with the Federal Emergency Management Agency and the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. The message you are about to hear will concern what has to come in the coming weeks on this planet. Remember that this message is not a test, and everything stated is official. Over the past 2 weeks, scientists at the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, along with other space agencies, have noticed that, despite previous studies, the ozone layer has continued to wither away. This is evident by sporadic weather patterns, and the time frame of how long it takes to get a sunburn continues to lower. It has now been observed that the ozone layer will not repair itself and will continue to wither away until there is no ozone layer left. In simple terms, this will cause the planet to become fully uninhabitable. There is nothing that can be done to stop or slow this event. Over the next weeks, ultraviolet rays will slowly destroy the surface, inevitably wearing down structures, even concrete ones. Any survivors will have to permanently reside underground, but ultimately this is not feasible. We do not have the resources or technology to adapt to an underground setting, and even in the situation where a viable relocation plan could be developed, only a small fraction of the human race could do so. In the coming weeks, food and water shortages will continue to worsen, and since there is no way to deliver aid, humanity will inevitably be eradicated. The United Nations contingency plan has completely fallen through. Given the circumstances, there is no way for the federal government to continue. Therefore, at the end of this broadcast, the United States, its territories, and all government-related entities will be officially dissolved. The end of this broadcast marks the end of the United States as a whole. We recommend that you spend your final days or weeks doing what you love with your family and doing whatever you can to make your final moments as comfortable as possible. Be prepared to end your life on your terms. We do not advise panic, as panicking will only worsen the situation, and it will not change the inevitable. We thank you for being a part of America for these past 227 years. This concludes all operations under the emergency alert system. Thank you for being a part of this country.
Oh,